South Sudan, Pantumalerial, Victor Garangay, Young President here, Bubalo Biro Gamarta, Yuka the Dalcoming, Bukan one, Kikuyong, the word of them, we are ruling number one yai, Kalkia, the King of Tongu, Kevin Panarol Gayol, Kurumbe, Bukan Yorgula, Lord Yang Pani, the Chag, and no man name, Gutidian, Panalira, Yakugong, Rajadormanyang. When low and the more in Matuan, Kolotongo Gayoke, Kolotan, Kadiare, you come later, by idea, Dorko by and Yamnon Nauga, Lope, you where I are, would go to me, Pauke, Kumi, Mariana by your Makuret, Yanuque, Kilpona, Jolly Gan, Yer Mechanical, me will lang King Gangelo, and there I go, a Jaitar, Lenyatung, I took them yet by Jola, Long, Miriam Mangar, my job, Ting Alcuma, young Copan, Marial Jowul, Tingo, when a corner but them before I come, and I think you're up, among them a bill that ride, Magangi. Kadidan, I queer my young Kagayana, loving your Murma, Kuyar, Madol, Banyat, White, young Panapara, Kwajaga, poor, when you bought them, Tingajaga, Payan, Mopanya, Lintiana, the poor Malanga, you'll queer a board. Jala wuru ma jok South Sudan Pantumalerial Victor Garangay Young President here Bubalo Biro Gamarta Yuka the Dalcoming Bukan one Kikuyong no word of them we are ruling number one yai Kalkia the King of Tongu Kevin Panarol Gayol Kurumbe Bukan Yorgula Lord Yang Pani the Chag and the man name Gutidian Panalira Yakugong Rajadormanyang.
Guys, welcome. Welcome, guys. Start here the video while we are waiting the guests to come in. I would like to welcome my colleague, my brother, and Honor Valentino Achak Deng. Welcome to my show. Thank you so much for joining me. So while we are waiting for the people to join our show and sharing the video, so I will be start playing a little bit of music while we're waiting for people to come in. So thank you.
you work the jungle. Got it, your liver, no, you quite got
For those of you watching, please start sharing.
young guy, you got to for you to over and where I wanna go to Malwell. You can mother, my guru, when I don't you. Oh, con Mogora, Jolia, who truly up. But Royal, my tiny young Panda, my real friend. No go on my burden, couldn't train my burden. And Mutul, you right, Rang my yan, the job, then I look there, Mukur, William Tulan, Mubat, young bike, get out, got going my like a dear nugget, yeah, you find won't have none of you in Uncle. You're bugging me on with you, the Iran, the guy, you look, marriage, your panda, you're a young Lebanon, you poor, good jungle, got a young Lebanon, you like a will come to Gong Yang Dai, got on the right for you to over and where I yap.
Okay, welcome everybody to the show. Welcome, Honorable Valentino Achak Deng to my show. Thank you for accepting. Before I start my questionnaire, I would like to introduce yourself, Valentino, to the public and no. So go ahead.
Hey, Abram, thank you so much for having me on your Facebook live stream. I am Valentino Achak. Very good to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you. Let me move ahead. My first question I would like to ask you, Valentino. Valentino, you returned to work in South Sudan almost soon after the CPA was signed with the Khartoum regime in 2005. And can you tell us what is it that you have been doing in South Sudan?
Thank you, Abram. I first returned to South Sudan in 2003 when the Sudanese government was negotiating peace agreement with the SPLM in Nairobi, Kenya. I came and it was part of my book research for What is the What. I visited Kakuma, I visited Rumbek, I visited Ruweng, I visited Marialbai, my village, and to reunite with my family. As you can see, that's a picture of my father behind me in 1982 before the war. And it was then that I realized that so much was needed to be done even after the peace agreement was signed. And it is there that I picked on education as one of the key initiatives and programs to be undertaken soon after the peace would be signed with the Sudanese government. So I came back in 2007 to pursue the same thing, and I have been developing and running educational programs in Northern Bahr El Ghazal, and even in my village of Marialbai. That is what I have been doing. Those schools have been functioning. We have trained teachers from primary to secondary and to university level.
Yes, thank you. My second question is about you were appointed recently. So you were appointed recently as a state minister of education in Northern Bahr El Ghazal. Can you tell us about the system of the education you are managing in that region or in your region?
Yes, the system of education that I am running in Northern Bahr El Ghazal is called General Educations and Instructions. And it comprises of early education systems, primary school systems, secondary school systems, and alternative adult learning education systems. Southern Sudan has a decentralized education systems where each of the 10 states has a state minister appointed to run the education system in the state. I am running an education systems in Northern Bahr El Ghazal, which is located in the north western part of the country.
And what about and my third question is regarding about, if you can mind, if you don't mind, can you tell our viewers, people who are watching right now, about the number of the student schools, teachers in your education system?
I ran one of the maybe the second largest education systems, following the one in central education in central Equatorial State, where the capital is. Northern Bahr El Ghazal has more than 400,000 children enrolled in primary, secondary, and adult education systems. I have more than 6,000 teachers in those teaching those children, and which is not enough if you consider the teacher-student ratio of 1 to 51 or 1 to 45. So I need more teachers. I also have more than 900 schools, more than 759 primary schools, 70 secondary school, and 480 alternative education learning systems. So it is the largest education system in the country.
Yes. And I see recently you just finished building a university or a college of that region, which is a very large. I want you to talk about the importance of a girl education, because we know South Sudan is one of the countries that the high literacy rate is very high in our country, and you and I, we are fighting for that, to educate a girl. So can you tell us most important, because I read in your website and on this, so that in that school more than 400 to 600 girls are enrolled. Can you tell us the importance of girl education?
Girls' education is very important for us in South Sudan in particular, and even in the global community at large. If you looked at the gender disparity rates in the areas of economics, socials, and even politics, you see that many women are lacking behind in numerous countries, and particularly in South Sudan. For us, it's not even a matter of a discussion. It is a necessity for life in South Sudan to educate young girls and women, because they run families, they educate children, they provide a lot of needs for the society. And if we are to develop equally, if we are to empower our citizens equally, then girls' education is one of our key challenges. I can tell you one example, and it is one of the reasons I really felt compassionate to commit myself to providing educational services to young people in South Sudan. When I returned to Marialbai in 2007, a neighbor of mine lost a child. The mother had overdosed her young boy, thinking that she was curing the boy by giving her more medicines. But in the process, she had overdosed the kids and the child died. That is how devastating lack of education can be for a mother who cannot understand the prescriptions given by the doctors and how to administer that. This makes it very difficult for us to think of anything else than providing the education to our citizens, particularly the girls in this case.
And it's really one of the things that we and the rest of the South Sudanese want to work hard so that we can educate our girls and the young generation, because the literacy rate in South Sudan is very high, 95% is very high, and we need to educate our young children. So and you are doing amazing things. We're proud of you. And my next question is about, had the COVID-19 breakout, and COVID-19 have very impact on it around the world on education system. So everything is locked down. Can you tell us about the impacts that COVID-19 did in the school that you are running on and all South Sudan education system? So how the COVID-19 impact the work that you are doing?
COVID-19 has a devastating effect on our education systems. First of all, we are operating on an environment where we do not have proper IT systems in place. We lacked sometimes energy, power, and computers, and the internet technology to be able to provide virtual learning. So when we had to close following coronavirus protocol measures, we had to close completely. All of our schools were shut down from March 2020 up to May 2021. So majority of our students were at home without access to learning materials and information online. That really left a devastating effect on our education systems, as we were not able to implement the curriculums, which some countries and some areas with IT systems, with internet, were able to cope with. They were able to provide virtual learning through Zoom, through other internet channels. Now, also, majority of our schools are operating on temporary learning spaces. When the schools were closed for long, majority of those schools lost that infrastructure. We opened the schools in May, and a lot of the schools did not have learning space available. Kids are going through that now. It also affected our transportation systems. Many of our learning materials are imported. And when the COVID-19 protocol measures came in, we had little to bring in or none. COVID-19 has left a devastating effect on the education systems in South Sudan. Majority of our students who had to travel overseas to access the schools were stranded. Those who were outside could not come back to the country and were affected, as they were not able to afford living standards. So it left us with a lot of things, with a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's very challenging. It's really challenging. And how did you manage? Did you guys receive any COVID vaccine to be delivered to this area so that the student can be vaccinated? Did you? Because we know that we don't have South Sudan didn't have enough vaccine to reach to the area, like the villages area and those around. Did you receive any kind of vaccination to provide to this student around that area?
No, there have been, I think the government bought COVID-19 vaccines, and a good number of people have been vaccinated, although the large population has not been vaccinated. I think there are some donations that have come in through some countries. I'm not sure which countries those were, because, I am a Minister of Education. There is a COVID-19 task force and the Ministry of Health, which follows up with those things. I have a lot of issues on my hand, so I But again, many students have not been vaccinated, and it will take them very long. Even our teachers have not been vaccinated. The education managers, a good number of them have not. So we hoped that there would be an opportunity to vaccinate teachers, vaccinate school management committees, and also the students. What we have found as a lack is that the lack of access to many areas in South Sudan have worked out as an advantage in terms of COVID-19. So there are many remote areas that have been saved from COVID-19 infections. But now, as the country is opening up and many people are coming back in, this could be a very challenging moment. But I think those are the issues we're facing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you. And my next question is, we will, of course, I'm going to ask you about the challenges, how the funding for the education. So funding, like paying a teacher, funding a school, supplies, and anything that money funding that can make school running. So can you tell us how you doing that? Do you have a yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is an area of interest both to the country and to friendly countries and organizations that whose mission is that of providing universal access to education. As South Sudan is a country that has many challenges in her hand to solve, education is also one of the areas that is affected. It is not receiving substantial funding, and it is not that it is not a key program for the country, but it is just that there are too many other challenges to be solved before you come there, and that leaves education with a minimal funding. We do not have more than 10% education fund in our budget, which is what many people are advocating to be achieved through the budget's planning. But again, also many of the education donors have experienced this global donor fatigue. South Sudan used to receive a substantial education fund through international education funders, but this has not continued to be the same now as COVID-19 has created an unfortunate situation. We've had partners like Global Partners for Education and UNICEF, Save the Children, and other multilateral NGOs that have been supporting education system in South Sudan. And all of them, including us in the government, are facing budget shortages.
Yes, it's one of the challenging that all the education program are facing. And I can see that would be a hard thing. My next question is about curriculum in South Sudan. So what kind of curriculum are you using in your education program?
Well, our education curriculum is something I would say is similar to is 844 education curriculums. We have 8 years of primary school, 4 years of secondary school, and 4 years of the university programs. This is an area of success here. We've just managed to have all the primary and secondary textbooks for the new South Sudan education curriculum printed. So this is actually the first year that the country is embarking on on teaching children based on our own books and our own curriculum.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I was very curious, because I know, I remember when we were in South Sudan, we were teach like Kenyan curriculum. You and I, we know that, and in Kakuma, and then when we were South Sudan, and so Sudan to South Sudan, were using East African curriculum and also Northern Bahr El Ghazal. I mean, Northern Sudan curriculum. But it's good that South Sudan take that action to have their own curriculum. That's a wonderful thing, and that's what we want to see. Of course, it's not a good that new country can be using other country curriculum while we don't have it. So I'm really glad that our government moved that have our own curriculum in South Sudan. So
yes, you know, in addition to that, the new curriculums, is designed to foster nationalism and patriotism and promote national unity. So it's really a curriculum that, if fully implemented, can help the country bring everyone together and bring about a profound sense of nationalism and patriotism and a national unity, which is one of our major challenges, as you know.
Yes, exactly, and that's a really that's a really good thing. So I think I asked you most important about education. So what we are doing is to raise awareness to the people that education is very important in South Sudan, and we move into this different area in the rural area villages that don't have access to travel to nearest town so that they can go to school. And this is one of the things that South Sudan is facing, because in fact some of the villages are if the student can sit down under the tree and they don't have the rival building that they have. And another thing that I want to ask you about is about teachers. Like we have, like how we know that we don't have qualified teachers that teach the school. So you reach out to other countries like nearest Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and other Northern Sudan to get the teachers from those countries to come to your school area to teach the student, or you are hiring within South Sudan? So
now there are two things I want to separate here. When you talk about my schools and our schools, the schools I had run privately were funded by the VAD Foundation in the US. And so they had funding and they had the ability to hire competent teachers wherever possible. But now there are these schools that I am running, the public school systems. We are lacking teachers in almost all of them. And it is very difficult for us to hire foreign teachers to come and teach there due to budget constraints. What we are intending to do with that is to train even the teachers that we have already, because the number of teachers we have teaching in our schools required some teacher development trainings, and even some of them should be sent back to schools once we are able to do that. We also have a number of schools that need more teachers. For example, in Northern Bahr El Ghazal, where I am running the education systems now, I need more than 3,000 teachers to have enough. And to hire those one is very difficult. So I even need to train out of service teachers to join the teachers working force. So the teacher issue is a major challenge for our education systems in all of the 10 states. And again, as the country is coming down and peace is getting away, I think these are primary issues that the government will be dealing with, is to train teachers, to hire competent teachers, and to improve the education system.
Yes, there's the important question that Madud asked you. Let me pull up this question, very important. Madud asking you about why 4 years secondary school, it should be only for 3 high school years, because 4 years is very long journey to student.
Well, this is according to the curriculum that the country has developed, and it is the document and the education policy that we are pursuing now. This is based on the 2012 Education Act, so it's a constitutional entity. Until we are able to develop the new curriculums, we will not be able to change anything now.
Yes, exactly, and that is so. I think this is the one of the things that we it will be progressing, and that thank you, Valentino Achak Deng, for coming into my show and then to highlight about the important and the challenges the education system is facing in South Sudan. It's very important. I will give you the last word so that you can give the people your last word. But before I did that, I want to know how is you mentioned before Valentino Achak Deng Foundation. How is that functioning?
The VAD Foundation is working as usual. If you would like to know more about their activities, you can go to the www.vadfoundation.org. The team there has a lot of information on the website, and they will be able to provide you with information that you need about the country, about our education systems, and the work we have done and the work they're pursuing to do. Again, I would like to highlight some things here to you, my brother. Education is one of the key programs that all South Sudanese, whether they are outside the country or in the country, should commit themselves to pursuing and to supporting the country with. To promote the social and economic, technological and industrial need for our national development, we need to educate our population. We need to provide our young people with the best of knowledge, the best of skill, good attitudes, and desirable values through our educational systems. So we all need to invest and to support those in needs of education. Education will also help us promote individual development and self-fulfillment, because we have realized that all jobs do not have to come from the government. And if citizens are to create jobs and opportunities for themselves, then they should better be educated, or they should pursue educational opportunities wherever they are. That can help us create values for our communities. Education can help us also promote sound moral and religious values for our families, for our communities, and for our country. As you see, we are facing a moral question about our ability to coexist, our ability to be peaceful, and our ability to support one another and to care for one another. This is one thing, one of the issues education can help us. Education can help also promote social equality and social responsibility. As individuals, as communities, as a state or a country, education can help us understand and appreciate our differences. It is also education that can help us promote respect for and development of South Sudan's rich and varied cultures. Without us educating ourselves to know those entities, to know what natural resources we have, how to exploit them, how to use the revenues collected from them, and even how to use our varied cultures, it would be a challenge for us to appreciate who we are and what we have as a country. Education can help us promote international consciousness and foster positive attitude toward other nations. You see, we're facing questions from everywhere, and we're realizing that our place among the leagues of nations is being challenged. But if we educate ourselves to know uh, how international uh, uh, developments, international economies, international financial sector, international social paradigms, and all of these are, uh, we would be able to position ourselves among other people. So I think education for us is really something every citizen, everybody must do what they can to educate themselves, to educate our family members, to educate our community members, and our country citizens. So these are a few points I would like to make, and they are the reason you see me adamant and committed to help create educational opportunities where I am. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I hope you guys have learned something from me, and I will also learn so much from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is the very important, and that we all need to work hard as South Sudanese back home in diaspora, so that we can educate our people back home, because education is the only key to the success of their life, and that's what we will do. I thank you so much, Valentino, for joining me on this show, on this program. So I'm doing this. One of my vice president. So as you know, that I found a non-profit organization. That's where we are live right now. It's called Rescue South Sudan Black People. That my vice president. His name is Glenn. So he's learning. He's one of the professor in MSU. As you know, that one MSU is one of the university well known in the United States. So he was so eager to thank you for doing that. He was glad, and they were watching you. And also too, they were seeing, we came in 2001 in the United States, you and I, and then you decided to go back home. And then I remember when we met 2012, when I went back home to do a documentary. So they are really happy to see you on live. So always asking me, how is Valentino doing? And I tell, so they are very happy to hear your voice today. So is really, if you want to respond to something to them, you can go ahead.
Madid, I want to thank you so much. You're one of our young men who have really done well, and I'm so proud of the work you have done in Eastern Lake, Yerul, and also in our country, and even in the US. I want to thank your team for supporting you in every way possible. I think it is work and actions of individuals like you that add value to every effort that we are doing. I wish I had a way of reaching to all of your board members and your teams to check their hands and say thank you very much. I would say please convey my regard to them. We are all in this together. We cannot do it alone. And I think anyone who invests in education is helping create a better world for us and a better world for the future generations to come.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So they're really happy, and they are appreciating you for bringing that. This is now is open a lot of our friends, American friends and families, that you are one of the person that succeed in this education. Go back home. You choose not to stay in the United States. You went back home and start out our grassroots level, and that's what we want. And I hope you and I will make difference in our people life. Thank you so much for coming in, and I will let you go to get rest, and we will talk again. I will bring you back again when we have something stuff to discuss. So I will bring you back again. Thank you so much. So
by the way,
yes, go ahead.
By the way, this is my first Facebook Live. I've never
Right.
done this, so I don't know how I have done it, but thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's a beautiful part of education. You see, that's one of person you don't know how to educate. You cannot able your first time and you make it. You make it on to come on the show. That's wonderful. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you. Thank you for Valentino. I appreciate you. We will talk again.
Very good.
Yeah, have a wonderful night. And thank you for viewers for watching. We always choose a topic to discuss only on this platform. We choose to talk about education, how we can improve education in South Sudan, and that's what we discuss here. And we will keep doing that every week. We will come up and discuss that. And thank you, Valentino. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk again later.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Let me see.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a good night. Yeah.
You know Sudan, Pantumal Real, Victor Garangay, Young President here, Bupalo Biro Gamarta, you chat the Dalcom, Bupan one, you know, a kid, we young, no word of them, we are rule and number one yai, Kalkia, the King of Tongo, Kevin Panaro Gayqual, from Big Bupan Yorgula, Lord Yang Pani, the chair, and no man name, good young Panalira, Yakugong, right, Padormanyang, Panalo and the Morin, Matuan, Colatongo Gayoke, Colabank, and Yari, Yamu Layatum, Payadiar, Dorco by, and Yamnam Nauno Galo, you where I wear, we go to me, Pauke, to me, Mariang, by your Makurit, Yanuki, you for Najol, you got again, Yermacanica, me will unking again, Yellow, and there I go, a Jaitar, Lenatung, and you bear me at Bayola, Ting Kona Long, Miriam Mangar, my job, Ting Akuma, young Pokan, Marial, Joe. When a corner but them before I come and I finish your work, mind them a bill that rhyme a gang. Kadidang I put my young Kagayana loving your more mouth, we are mother by not quite young Panabara, Pajaga, poor, when you put them, think I jagai, Payana, Panya, Lintiana, the poor Malanga, you're a good board, come on there, yellow wool, my joke. You know Sudan, Pantumal Real, Victor Garangay, Young President here, Bupalo Biro Gamarta, you chat the Dalcom, Bupan one, you know a kid, we young, no word of them, we are rule and number one yai, Kalkia, the King of Tongo, Kevin Panaro Gayqual, Kurumbe, Bupan Yorgula, Lord Yang Pandi, the Chair, and no man name, good young Panalira, Yakugong.